so many great things and the audience is listening like, oh my God, but I want to bring this, I want to tie it up for him because it's all this shit's so fucking powerful.
Yeah, sure.
So what I want you guys listening and watching is to latch onto this massive aspect of it. As a young athlete, he was working 16 hours a day, doing whatever you could, right, to get the edge, whether it was lifting, running, etc. And he brought those principles into business now. And as a former,
I didn't have a college, just for everyone listening, like I didn't have a college life. So most of the athletes, the reason they fail, this is my personal opinion because I played with athletes and they get the you're an idiot stigma, is because after practice, which is 6 hours, and after you've been in school for 8 hours, the last thing you want to do is more work. And I would usually then go do 2 to 3 hours of homework. Most of the guys would go hang out with girls. Which,
that's what I did.
To be frank, like I would have rather hang out with girls, but I was so disciplined to the sense of I want to have straight A's and I want to be a good athlete. And so that's kind of the route I went.
See, that's it. That's the point. Thank you for interjecting. That's the point. Yeah. I was the guy that went and hung out with girls.
Yeah.
I mean, you're an LSU baseball player.
Yeah. Most of the guys, and we'd have tutors. So the tutors would do the homework, or pretty much like, even if they didn't do it, it was like, they pretty much baby feed the answer. Yeah. But so what happens is with most athletes is in college, they get A's on the homework. They'll fail the test. Exactly. And the test is what gets them the C passing grade.
Exactly, dude. And so like, the point is like you were able to take that discipline and the daily disciplines, right, in order to move that ball forward for you. And you took that and you've done it inside your business, because I've seen things from you, man. Like I paid attention, bro. I've been paying attention over the years. You know, it's like, what if you sent 30 DMs a day? You know, what's the close? What's the how many people do you get on a call? What's your close ratio? Could you make 10 grand? Probably.
Yeah.
Right. But that's how it starts.
Sure. Yeah. It just starts with that first step. And I think also just from a young age, like my dad just worked so hard, but he was a teacher. And like, so my dad, if I look at him and I was to describe him, my dad is one of the hardest workers I know. He just doesn't know how to make money in a better vehicle. And I took that from him though. I like the hard work ethic I really took. So, long story short, after I start doing door-to-door sales, after 9 months, I'm a savage. Like this is a silver lining, right? Because at the time I'm going, like I've been out of school for 2 years now. I'm not making any money. I was calling my mentor saying, hey man, I think I'm going to go back. Cause I was about to turn 25 and the worst thought I could think of was being a 25 or 26-year-old loser. And I'm like, bro, no girls want to date me. Cause like I'm broke. I got no money. I have a shitty car. I was like, and I wasn't dating at the time either because I didn't even feel like I had anything to offer.
Sure.
So long story short, we finished the summer. And when we finished the summer, you take like a little break. I was going to do year-round sales because I didn't know what else to do. So they moved us out to South Carolina and I see an ad that says how to start your online fitness business. Now, I was not familiar with online marketing or coaching.
What year was this? I'm sorry. What year was it?
Yeah, dude, this was 2016 or 17.
Okay.
Like, I mean,
at the inception of it.
Yeah, this is the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? So I see an ad that says how to start online fitness business. And I was not big on social media. I was not big with like coaching or consulting. I didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest. I was just, this whole industry, no idea it existed. So I click on the ad. I get on a call, I get high pressure sell, like, hey, if you don't buy today, you never can buy. And I'm just eating the whole thing. I remember I had $2,000 in my bank account. So I put $1,000 down. I had $1,000 left. I got a credit card. I didn't have a credit card yet. So I was 24, 25 years old. Had never gotten got a credit card for, it was literally $5,000 and I paid the $4,000 and I got in the program. Okay. So I get in the program and I just say, hey, I'm going to do this as hard as I can for the next 2 months before summer sales start and see if it works. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, I'll either stick with summer sales or go back to school or whatever. Right. So I get in and the guy's personality didn't really gel with me. Like it was very hypey and I'm not a hypey guy. I'm like, tell me what I need to know. Yeah. Like that, like, let's say Andy Elliott, like all respect to Andy Elliott, but like the militaristic screaming, I'm just like, bro, I will kick all your asses. Yeah. Just tell me what I need to do. I don't need no hype.
I can't even go there with him.
Yeah, right. Like, so some people like that. It's just not a fit for me. So long story short, I get annoyed and I say, guys, like I go to the coach. I'm like, dude, look, just tell me what to do. Just tell me in basic terms what to do. I don't need all these freaking hype videos. Yeah. Okay. Raise your price from $47 to $1,500 and then get them on a call. And I said, that's it. Like, and in my mind, at $5,000 at the time was, 50,000.
Yeah,
so
sure, I get it.
I was pissed in the sense, man, you're telling me I paid you all this money. That's what you're going to tell me. Okay. but I said, I have nothing better to do. I have nothing to lose. I already spent the money, so I got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I start reaching out to people on my social media. I start booking calls, and I get the person on. I close a 2K sell. And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I get another guy on. I close a 2K sell. I'm like, holy shit. Then I raise the price. I'm like, I close a guy at 3K. I'm like, oh my God. I close another guy at 3K. So I make 10 grand. And this is like within a week. And keep in mind, I'm going from summer hot, door sales in Alabama, 98 degree heat, sweating like you're sweating so much. You start getting, like you couldn't even use baby powder because you chafe.
Yeah.
Like you chafe on your legs and stuff. And so in a week, I make 10K in my underwear in AC. Like I remember closing.
That's what's up.
So I call my parents and I say, Mom, Dad, I figured it out. I'm like, listen, I'm going to come home. Let me know what a fair amount of money is for rent. And I'm going to take all the money and put it in the business. And my parents were super cool. They've always been supportive of whatever. Even if they didn't think it was going to work, like they still supported me.
Yeah. Make your own decision.
Yeah. They were just like, you're a dumbass, right?
Yeah.
But my parents are like, okay, like as long as you're not, pillaging and plundering and, doing crazy stuff, doing drugs, you can live here. And they're like, well, let's just stay here for $1,000 of rent. And I was like, okay, great. That's saved me $2,000 a month. So I drove across the country. I actually closed a deal in the car while I'm driving. I remember it was actually probably the best deal I've ever done, because I closed this guy $2,500 pay in full, and I was driving, like I was trying to get the PayPal thing. It was super dangerous. Like anyone listening, don't do this, but I'm trying to like get PayPal to work while I'm driving. I can't. So I pull over and I close him. And the second he hangs up, I'm just like, yeah, mother ever. Like I just scream.
Yeah. You're jacked up.
Yeah. I'm like, I cannot believe it took me 2 years to get to this point. And at the time I almost felt, man, I wasted 2 years. I was this close the whole time.
Yeah.
But there were all those silver linings there, because the reality is, if I hadn't done door-to-door sales, if I hadn't learned how to build a product and the sales and all that stuff, when this moment happened, I wouldn't have been prepared for it.
Well, you can't even appreciate the success if you haven't gone through the shit, dude.
No, but it's also silver linings. Like people think, I used to think, oh, if I hadn't done that, I would have gone there faster. That's not how success works.
No.
Failure is the requirement to success. And so not figuring it out in the beginning, all those skills got me ready, because when I got here, I think success is three things: characteristics, beliefs, and skills. I was building character and beliefs. I just didn't have all the skills. So as soon as I had all the skills, it was game over, because it's like I had all three.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so anyways, I go home and I just lock myself in the room. My dad would see me once every 2 weeks, if that. And I remember at the time he was kind of like, yo, bro, like whatever. But I was so determined not to go backwards that I was sitting there all day. And all I did at that moment is I would message everyone on my social media. When I ran out of that, I would reach out to people on IG hashtags. So I'd type in like fit mom, fit dad, fit spo, whatever. And I would make sure that all I did all day was like set calls, book calls, handle my clients. And before you knew it, in a couple months, I was doing $50,000 a month. In fact, I was messaging so much. I don't know if you can see on camera, but I would get arthritis right here in my thumbs. From the typing. And the doctors were like, yo, what are you doing? They're like, you got to get off your phone. I was like, no, I can't. I was like, I can't. Like, this is how I make money. But because that was happening, I realized, yo, I got to figure out paid traffic. Like, I can't be doing this for the rest of my life. This is killing me. It was actually like I was getting sick. I was working so much that the only time my parents would see me is when I would eat. And my parents were happy in the sense that, man, this kid isn't causing us any problems. There would be some other parents I would joke with my parents, like, man, I'm sorry your son's home. And they're like, my son's making money, dude.
My son's killing it.
Yeah. So long story short, when I got to $50,000 a month, I realized, okay, this isn't going to work for me long term. So I went back to 30 grand on purpose. Like I just messaged a little less, and I used those hours to hire coaches and learn ads. And it took me, 50 grand. And right before my fifth coach, so I went through 4 coaches, and, for one reason or another, we can get into it, they didn't work. And it wasn't because of me though, which is rare. Most people listening on this podcast, it is your fault. But in my case, I was doing 10 times the work, and I'm going, man, like this isn't working, like, it's not me. It's like, it's something about the process. So I remember my dad sat me down. He goes, son, you've made, hundreds of thousands of dollars. He's like, you'd actually be further ahead if you just didn't pay these coaches. But I remember thinking, no, Dad, like this isn't sustainable. Like I have to figure out a better way to get consistent lead gen. So once we did that, once I did that, it took me, that fifth coach, and I was running webinars and I was doing kind of the traditional marketing and it wasn't working. And I remember I texted that coach. I was pissed. And I just said, dude, mother F this. Like you told me you were different. You were the same. And like looking back now, I think I should have given some grace. Cause like now that I've consulted, it was like 50% my fault, 50% their fault. Like they were doing the work, but what they were showing me just wasn't working for me. And because I'd had so many coaches already, I was just like done. Right?
Yeah, dude.
Like, come on, bro. Like, give me the juice. So he calls me and he basically said, either like do the work or shut up and we'll refund you. And I remember when he did that, I felt challenged. And my personality and being an athlete, I was like, all right, F you, mother. I was like, all right, I'll show you.
All right,
I was kind of like, all right, I'll show you.
You got a chip on your shoulder. That
So what had happened is a lot of the ads I've been running through ManyChat. ManyChat, for anyone who doesn't know, at the time, Facebook Messenger wasn't what it is now. It was, you couldn't really run ads to Messenger like you can now. So years ago, I used something called ManyChat, and that just think of ManyChat as the activation tool. So someone would click on the ManyChat link and boom, Facebook Messenger will open. So all my leads that I'd been running ads to, $20,000 worth of ads, were in Facebook Messenger. And I was like, I just started following up with everyone. I was like, hey, this is Tanner. What's your goal? Hey, this is and in that week, I made $18,000 off $3,000. And before I was making a 1-to-1 ratio on my ads. Like, this is pointless. And then that week I made $18,000 off $3,000. And then that was when I actually sat in my room and I went, if you can watch on camera, I was like, holy shit, I'm going to be rich. Like that was the moment I knew I was going to be rich, because if you can run paid traffic profitably, it's over.
No,
like
absolutely.
It's game over. It's like it's like being viral or being famous like Mr. Beast. It's like, it's over.
Yeah.
Like, you've won. Yeah. So the second that happened, I just doubled down and at the end of the year, I'd done over $1 million. So I got my ClickFunnels plaque, right? If you're familiar with ClickFunnels, Russell Brunson. Yeah. So I get the plaque and I go to the award ceremony and I like stand on stage and, and a flood of trainers start hitting me up because they're like, oh, this Tanner Chidester guy, like he built $1 million business that wasn't consulting.
Right.
And so because of that, I started consulting trainers. And that year was great because when I started consulting these trainers, it was like, at first I said no. And the reason I said no is, I didn't want to be scammy. I was like, oh, F business coaches. They just overcharge and most of them haven't built real businesses.
It's true.
So long story short, I start coaching people on this because there's a line out the door. Like you guys got to remember, I'm 25 years old. I had 15 people who would pay me 10 grand. So I was like 150 grand for like, to just show you what I did. I was like, okay. So I started doing that and I pretty much equal the businesses out because the fitness business was doing like 120 and this business got up there pretty quick, like almost instantly. And I just said, okay, like I see more potential here. So I went all in on the consulting. And that year, to this day, that's still the craziest year of my life. I think it was 2018, 2019. We went from 1 million to $10 million.
That's insane.
It was like Grant Cardone would have been proud, right? He's like 10x, right?
This literally happened.
It literally happened. And because that went so well and we got more awards, more people outside of fitness started asking me for help. And then we went 10 to 15 million. And then at 15 million, we started adding in other divisions like elite ads, elite closure, which because what we did is we said, hey, what do our clients want? And it was a bunch of done for you services. So we started adding those in and that added another 10 million. So we went from 0 to 25 million a year in 4 years. And then, I've been doing that ever since. And now I have more portfolio companies and I have other ventures I'm doing now because I want to expand. Like I don't want to like die and people are just like, this is what Tanner's known for. This is just not what I want to be known for. But just looking back, what's crazy, and I'll end on this, is just, to this day, I made 115 million, right? And if I'd been an engineer, I would have made in 6 years, 600 grand. And so the opportunity difference and cost is $114.4 million. And that is mind blowing. Now, granted, not all of that's profit, right?
Sure.
But let's say 30% profit even. it's like the amount of money that I made, it's so much different. It's crazy. And I think a lot of people go through life, and that actually reinforced to me to keep working hard, because I think a lot of people go through life and they don't work hard, or they don't try, or they don't try to go for their goals. And so when they die, then they find out, oh, if I had just done these things, maybe I would have had this life. But they never know what they're living because they never tried. I look at it as if I had gone down that path to be an engineer, I'd be sitting here right now, maybe made 600-700 grand, have a decent family life, whatever.
Sure.
And I never would have known that the other life, an opportunity for me would have been what it is now.
See, that's the